Well, hey guys, it's Destry. Welcome back to my Oregon yard. I hope y'all are having a really awesome, fabulous day. Today I am doing something kind of fun. I'm trying something out, so I thought I would share this with you. I'm really hoping it works out. I'm gonna be working with a wreath form. I'm gonna be making a wreath today out of some of the Persian cress that I grew from seed this year. So you can see here is a bunch of it dried. So I have a bunch that I've harvested, and we are going to be making a wreath out of this today. So the backstory on this plant is that I actually planted it from seed to use as filler in my cut flower arrangements that I'm doing for my little flower stand here in my yard. And it has kind of gotten out of hand. It's obviously it's going to seed as well, right? It's done with its blooming cycle. And the seed heads themselves are kind of what you grow this plant for, as much as I understand it. The only problem is I do think that I would like to use that space to grow more flowers this season. So I am starting to harvest some of it. So the Persian cress has been really fun to work with this year, but I am harvesting some, and I decided, I'm gonna hang it upside down to dry, thinking about something I could do with it and see what it does when it's dry. Now here it is fully dry, and what I'm liking about it so far is that the seed pods are not coming off of there. They are staying on the plant pretty darn well. So I'm pretty happy with how it's drying. So what I thought was, instead of just drying it upside down and having these spikes, what if I form it into a wreath? I have some wreath forms, and I also have some paddle wire. So I thought, well, I'll just lash it around and kind of see, and then if it will dry to that pretty yellow color, but in a wreath form, that could look really cool. I could also use some of my straw flowers that I grew this season, whatever, pine cones. I'm also growing some astilbe that's really good for drying, and some, like I said, some straw flowers, some other things. Status is another thing I'm growing this year. So anyway, I thought, well, what if this would make a really good base for the wreaths, and then I could decorate the wreaths. So I've made a few wreaths in my time. I am by no means an expert here, but I do have a little wreath form, and it was kind of one of those ones that was domed, and what I did is I actually flattened it out with my foot a little bit, just because I find it easier when they're a little flatter. And then I have this paddle wire, which is just, I don't even know what gauge this is. It was just, I just ordered it in the mail. And there's the end. Okay, I was gonna say they have to make the end kind of obvious, right? And then what I did on the top is I attached just a little loop. Let's see if I can kind of show you. There's like a little loop on the top for hanging, and I just lashed it to the top of the wreath. And so what I'm gonna do is just take little bunches of this plant and just sort of put one bundle and kind of wrap, and then put another bundle and wrap. Now I think a couple things that might work better. First of all, I think the bundles, this is kind of the length I have right now, so I need to shorten these. So I'm gonna take them about here, and I might actually kind of lash them together and then keep them in these little bundles. And then I'm gonna, keep them short and then do like lots of wrapping. So one trick you can do is actually wrap the paddle wire and then, go underneath some of the top layer so that it's still structurally like held to the wire frame, but then you have some pieces up on top that sort of hide that wire. I'm gonna start kind of at that top part where I made the loop. Now that could also change. And I'm gonna make this quite a bit shorter. And I'm gonna go ahead and attach the paddle wire just to the top. So I'm just attaching the paddle wire kind of to the top of the form. And I might just give it one wrap around just to start my wiring process, And I'm gonna be pulling it taut as I go. And that's why it's on this paddle, because you can kind of hold it and tug on it a little bit. I can start to go in there with some of my first bundles. And what I'm gonna do is lay it in there, get the length that I want, wrap it, and then cut the end. So I've got it on there. It's way, way, way too long, but where my thumb is about where I want it to show. So I'm just gonna wrap it once, fully around, back up to the top here in front of me. It really helps to work, down like this. And then this top part is where I'm gonna lay my next bundle. And then I'm gonna chop off anywhere, let's trim this first actually, anywhere this is starting to stick out. Now I can leave it underneath as part of the base of the wreath, so I don't have to remove all of it as long as it will tuck. With my next bundle, and at this stage, you know, they've fully gone to seed, and I was trying to think how many months it has actually been since I, you know, have grown them, and I can't totally remember like what exact stage they're at, but basically they have flowered, gone to seed, and now if I was to leave them, even though I'm watering them, I've noticed they're starting to yellow a little bit even on the plant. All right, so I went ahead and overlapped that. See the two bundles, and now I'm just going to go over that with my paddle wire. I did it kind of twice around. Make sure you leave it a little fluffy, you know, so it kind of fluffs up. And now I'm going to trim these where they poke out of the wreath, but I can leave some of that. Oops, I got one little piece there that didn't go. And now I can start with my next bundle. So one thing I have learned about wreath making is make your bundle shorter. I always, like, if I start to mess up, it's usually because my bundles are too long. So that's one tip I have for you as a beginner. You're like, oh wow, this, I want it to be way out. No, keeping it shorter is better, because otherwise you end up with like a floppy wreath, which you don't want. I'm gonna get my bundles together here. I'm looking at where the main growth is here on this plant. That's a pretty good size. It's about where I'm at here is here. So again, I'm gonna put my thumb or whatever kind of where I would want that to show. And that's where I'm gonna put my wrap. And so far I haven't done that trick I told you about to like put a few so that you could see them. So far I haven't done that. Okay, so again, I'm always facing the bundles the same direction as I go around. So that's what I've got going on so far. Let me know in the comments if you've ever made a wreath or attempted to make a wreath with natural materials, and tell me if you've ever grown this Persian cress plant or anything like it. What have you made wreaths with that was successful for you? I mean, I feel like a lot of times we think about evergreen wreaths, right? Because that's when we want that greenery in our homes, but there's so many other materials and things you can make wreaths with. And I just love the circular format of a wreath, you know, just the shape of it on the wall. I think that's what makes it so universally appealing, is that it's just a circle, you know. It could be a, what are the ink blots? The ink blots where they do it as one solo circle. And on you, is it ONI? I'm trying to remember the name of it, you guys. I'm the art teacher and it's summer vacation. I'm forgetting all my things. But basically they take a brush with the sumi ink and they make one circular motion, and that motion is, you know, basically symbolic of one moment in time. You can't change it, it's there. You take a deep breath, so it's almost like a meditation, and it's so beautiful to watch people do it. I've tried to experience it with my students in my classroom, but you know how that would be. It wasn't totally, you know, perfect, but anyway, that's kind of that circle, right? As an artist and art teacher, I think about how many symbols are circles, you know, dream catchers, and I mean medicine wheels, and just so many different cultures throughout time have gravitated towards a circle. I have to shut up when I actually start doing it because I can't talk and do it at the same time. This bundle feels a little bit bigger, but that's okay because it really has to do a lot. I feel like I'm even making it a little bit bigger and longer. So the idea here with ending is that I'm gonna put this next bundle, and I want this bundle here to sort of cover that up. Okay, so you can see that's a little too long. I'm trying to do it and hold it and show you at the same time. So probably tuck it a little bit more like that. There we go, that's better. But you can see it's really beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful green, but as it dries, I think it'll be really nice too. So that is there, and then I'm gonna give it one wrap, and then I'm gonna tuck in a few more pieces just to hide that seam right there. Now I'm just gonna take a few pieces and sort of tuck them in, sort of holding it on my lap. I feel like I'm back to when I was first a mom. Who's my moms out there? Any of my viewers moms? Leave me a like or a comment or something. Holding my babies in my lap, my little baby Wreath. Okay. So I'm gonna cut these shorter. Whoops. And I have a whole bundle, but I think I'm just gonna work in smaller bits. And I'm gonna go through that seam and kind of do a bit of a weave, bob and weave here. So I'm gonna weave this in the back. Just these, it's just 3 little pieces. So I'm gonna see if I can tuck them into the structure that's already there, thread them through the best I can. Hope for the best. I'm just gonna take a look-see and see about any weaving I might need to do, or any hiding of any of my structure. So I see some areas, so I'm gonna take some of those shorter pieces and I'm gonna start to just fill in, you know, but I'm using the structure that's already in place and it's already secured. Now you could also use hot glue for this part, okay? No judgment. If you want to use a little hot glue, that works. Okay, I've got a couple more spots where I'm going to weave a few, just to hide any of the mechanics. And I'm just literally just weaving them in and out. But I think that's looking really good. It looks great. I love it. Now I could also go in and trim the edge. Might do that. I might wait and just see how it dries and then just make that decision, but I'm still gonna futz around with it here with a few additional pieces. So if you saw that bundle I started with, I'll show you at the end how much I was left with. It took almost all of it, so we'll see. I'm still doing some weaving, so. Yeah, it was really fun to make those wreaths last season, so getting a jump start on it today. Maybe if this one looks as pretty as I think it will, then I could make a few with that plant, and then maybe harvest it, and then make room for some Lysianthus. I still have some Lysianthus that I want to get in a planter bed, and I'm a little bit out of space. And because this has all gone to seed, you know, it would be good to maybe not just leave it where it stands. I mean, you could. The other thing I thought is I might leave one plant to let it go fully to seed so that I can collect seed from it, because I definitely think I would grow this again next year. I don't think I would grow as many of them. I think that they get a lot bigger and they're a little bit more aggressive than I thought they were gonna be. I would grow, you know, a small patch for my purposes of them again for sure though. Just to be like full transparency, before I made this video, I actually made one of these and it was not good, you guys. It was too long, it was floppy, so I tore the whole thing apart. I'm like, okay, what have I learned from this experience? And so I was glad I did that one. So don't be afraid if you're like, try it and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do it and this might not be for me, and you know, just give yourself some time to learn a new skill, right? We need to be patient with ourselves and like, not bring on the judgment right away to ourselves, especially if we're taking on like a new hobby or a new craft. So those of you that are gardeners out there, I'm sure you know this, like you try a plant, it doesn't work, or it dies in a certain spot, and then you try to figure out why, and you keep trying. You don't give up at the first go. So if you're not a quote unquote crafty person, you know, try to let go of that judgment. All right, guys, feeling pretty good about this. So let me show you a better close-up. All right, well, here she is in all her glory. And I think she's gorgeous and beautiful. I can't wait to see her with some other dried florals and things. And I think I am gonna make another one of these, you guys. I have 3 or 4 wreath forms. I might as well sit here today on a beautiful summer day and just make wreaths. Here is what I've got to clean up. So this is what's left of the ones with the seed pods a bit. And here's all my, you know, stems that I cut off that I just happen to have on this little runner. So I'll probably just grab, oh, actually it's 2 placemats, but whatever, I can grab it and then get that in my yard debris. But yeah, and here's it all dry. This is that dry piece. So I am gonna let it lay flat, the wreath lay flat to dry so that it will dry in place. I'm not gonna hang it on the fence yet. I'm gonna wait on that. All right, guys, well, thanks so much for hanging out with me in the yard today and making this really pretty wreath. I hope this video inspired you to try something new and, you know, really enjoy the bounty of your garden space. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it. And go through some of my playlists and watch a few of my other videos that I've made in the past. That would be awesome. So I hope you have a great day in your garden, and if you need me, I'll be hanging out doing some yardening. I'll see you guys later. Bye.